Hi ladies, and welcome to this week's 2-minute tips. Now today I'm going to be talking about initial recovery after a vaginal delivery, and I'm going to give you a really easy acronym to remember how to look after your vagina and your pelvic floor after a vaginal delivery. So there's lots of acronyms out there that have been used to help with recovery. My favorite that sums up most of the points that I think are important is PRICE. So remember this, PRICE, P for protection, R for rest, I for ice, C for compression, and E for elevation. Now I'm going to break that down. So P for protection. So the most important thing you can do is avoid harm in those early days after a vaginal delivery. So you want to avoid constipation, getting out of bed incorrectly, heavy lifting, overloading the pelvic floor. So that looks like managing your bowels well and speaking to your birth team if you need any extra help to go to the toilet, learning to moo to poo, getting your footstool, all those sorts of things. Only doing short walks up and down the corridor, nothing more than that is necessary in the early days. Making sure that you're not doing heavy lifting or lots of twisting and rotation sort of movements for those first couple of weeks. You want to take it easy. So first, do no harm, protect that pelvic floor area. Then we have rest. So horizontal rest in the first 2 weeks is one of the most important things you can do. So I know you might feel good, you might feel like Superwoman and you want to do it all and you've been, not being able to do things in pregnancy, but I want you to take it easy. Don't go for big, massive walks, carrying your baby, lifting all the things. The first 2 weeks, I want you to do as much horizontal rest. That doesn't mean sitting, that means actually lying down as you can. I can guarantee you this is going to be one of the most powerful things you can do to protect your pelvic floor and aid your long-term recovery. Just the first 2 weeks, as much as you can. 10 minutes of lying down in lots of different lots of different stints throughout the day. Ice. Get an ice pack on your perineum. Whether you've had stitches, tears, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a lot of swelling. So ice pack on your perineum. You can either fill a condom up with water or you can buy specific perineal packs. But definitely ice regularly in at least the first few days, if not week after birth, just to help reduce that swelling. Compression. So wearing some sort of supportive, whether it be just supportive firm underwear or whether you're wearing the pregnancy and postpartum support shorts and leggings, which give you that perineal lift. Add a maternity pad in there and you get that extra little bit of support, which is super helpful. And the last one, elevation, ties back into the horizontal rest. So just getting off your pelvic floor. So when you're sitting, it's still a lot of pelvic load, whereas when you're lying down, that gives that break from your pelvic floor. So I hope that helps. Protection, rest, ice, compression, and elevation.